Why do wars keep happening in the same regions, century after century? Why does Eurasia so often dominate global politics, drawing in distant powers? Why do great nations fight over oceans, choke points, and seemingly insignificant islands? The answer is not solely ideology. It is not merely the whims of individual leaders. The fundamental, enduring answer lies in geography. Before the advent of artificial intelligence, cyber warfare, or nuclear weapons, one truth profoundly governed world politics. This truth remains powerful today. Power is fundamentally shaped by space. This enduring principle is the core of what classical geopolitics seeks to explain. It offers a lens through which to understand the persistent patterns of global conflict and cooperation. Classical geopolitics begins with a radical and often controversial idea: geographical determinism. This perspective argues that geography is not just the stage where politics unfolds. It actively shapes how politics happens, influencing national character and strategic choices. Mountains provide natural defenses, fostering isolation and distinct cultures. Seas connect distant lands, facilitating trade and naval power. Deserts isolate populations, while open plains often invite invasion and necessitate strong land armies. States situated on islands, like Britain or Japan, historically developed powerful navies to protect their shores and project influence. Conversely, nations located on vast, open plains, such as Russia or Germany, became acutely focused on land armies and the creation of buffer zones for security. Geography does not dictate every outcome, but it creates powerful and persistent constraints on state behavior. Over time, nations adapt their strategies and develop their capabilities in response to these immutable, geographical realities. This is precisely why regions like the Middle East, Eastern Europe, and the South China Sea remain permanent hotspots of geopolitical tension. Early geopolitical thinkers often viewed states not merely as legal entities, but as living organisms. Just as a biological organism requires sustenance, space, and security to survive and thrive, a state needs vital resources, sufficient territory, and strategic depth. If a state ceases to grow or expand its influence while its rivals continue to do so, it risks becoming vulnerable. This organic state theory provided a powerful justification for historical phenomena such as imperial expansion and colonialism. It also explained the drive for buffer zones and spheres of influence. This perspective helps us understand why great powers often fear encirclement by adversaries. It clarifies their relentless pursuit of strategic depth, aiming to protect their core territories from external threats. In the modern era, global power is inextricably linked to economic prosperity, which largely flows through trade. And the vast majority of this trade moves across the world's oceans. Alfred Thayer Mahan, a pivotal figure in classical geopolitics, argued that control of sea lanes, naval supremacy, and robust maritime trade are the indispensable foundations of global power. He demonstrated how naval strength translates directly into economic and political dominance. Britain ascended to global empire status largely because it commanded the oceans, securing its trade routes and projecting its power worldwide. The United States emerged as a superpower after building the world's largest and most technologically advanced navy. Even today, the strategic importance of naval assets remains paramount. Aircraft carriers, critical choke points like the Suez Canal and the Strait of Hormuz are not just military targets. They are decisive geopolitical assets that control global commerce and influence. British geographer Halford Mackinder posed a profound question. What if land power could ultimately defeat sea power? He theorized about the existence of a vast, inaccessible core of Eurasia, which he termed the heartland. This region, protected from naval invasion, was difficult to conquer. Mackinder famously posited that whoever controls Eastern Europe commands the heartland. Whoever controls the heartland commands the world island, which encompasses Europe, Asia, and Africa. And whoever controls the world island ultimately commands the world itself. This powerful logic profoundly influenced strategic thinking throughout the 20th century. It shaped the expansion of NATO, fueled Russian security fears, and defined the geopolitical struggle of the Cold War in Europe. Today, Ukraine sits precisely in the region Mackinder identified as the crucial pivot for global power. American strategist Nicholas Spikeman offered a compelling counterargument to Mackinder's heartland theory. Spikeman contended that true power does not emanate from the Eurasian interior, but rather from its coastal regions. He called these vital areas the rimland. The rimland encompasses the densely populated and resource-rich regions of Europe, the Middle East, South Asia, and East Asia. Spikeman argued that if a power could control this rimland, it could effectively contain any continental empire attempting to dominate the heartland. This theory became a cornerstone of American foreign policy during the Cold War. It formed the basis of the U.S. containment strategy, the establishment of NATO, and the network of U.S. alliances across Asia. Even today, American power and influence remain strongest along Eurasia's strategic edges. The 20th century introduced a new dimension to warfare, extending beyond the surface of the Earth. Air power revolutionized military strategy, enabling strategic bombing campaigns and rapid force projection across vast distances. It also provided unprecedented capabilities for global surveillance. Control of the air became an essential prerequisite for victory in major conflicts. This logic continues to evolve and expand in the 21st century. Today, this vertical dimension includes advanced drones, sophisticated satellite networks, and precision strike systems. Airspace is now just as strategically vital as control over land and sea, fundamentally altering the calculus of power projection and defense. All these classical geopolitical theories, in their historical context, served a singular, overarching purpose: to justify and manage empires. They provided intellectual frameworks for understanding how states could expand their influence and control. Imperial geopolitics offered blueprints for acquiring and securing territory, protecting vital trade routes, and effectively suppressing rival powers. These theories helped construct the modern world order, defining spheres of influence and competition. Many of today's most persistent conflicts and geopolitical tensions are, in essence, direct legacies of these imperial ambitions and the strategic frameworks they engendered. The echoes of classical geopolitics resonate in contemporary global struggles. Classical geopolitics teaches us one fundamental and enduring lesson: geography never truly disappears from the equation of power. Technology advances at an astonishing pace. Empires rise and fall, and ideologies shift with the tides of history. Yet, the immutable realities of space continue to shape the distribution and exercise of power. The mountains, oceans, plains, and chokepoints remain constant factors in the strategic calculations of nations. And that is why, in the next stage of geopolitics, the battlefield will not only be the traditional domains of land, sea, and air. It will increasingly be the human mind itself, a new frontier shaped by information and perception.